because we're celebrating such an important, blessed time, Swamiji's discipleship. And so, I really like a lot of, everything Dharmarajan said. One thing that stands out to me that I want to reemphasize is that on the spiritual path there's no true hierarchy except the guru. But even thinking of it in terms of hierarchy is not correct. Because in India there's a lot of, you are my senior, therefore even if you don't feel it inside, right? And so there's a cultural thing where you automatically have to defer. And I'm not knocking it. Every culture has its ways. And so there's no one culture better than another culture. But I always consider being a yogi is very much outside of culture. It's its own culture. And the only time we really want to consider hierarchy in a way is with the guru, except that it's much more sincere and much more closer than just some structural thing that someone has set up for us. Instead, we bow down to the guru because we feel something inside that says, Master, I worship at your feet and love you with all my heart, all my mind, all my soul. And Swamiji, I feel the same way. And so that is done we do that out of sincerity, not with a thought of just because someone's been on the path longer or anything like that. And hierarchy doesn't work because just because one person's been on the path 10 years and another on the path 11 years does not mean the person 11 years is feeling the presence of the divine more than the person of 10 years. Because really, you can walk in your first day here and begin to feel the presence of the divine. There's no rule that you have to wait. Excuse me? You must wait 5 years before you can feel the presence of the divine. That's just how this path works. Not that way at all. And so this is perhaps an inward hierarchy of some sort. But anyway, I'm trying to just say all rules of society kind of dissolve in a mist when we are trying to live from within and trying to live the yogic life. And the beauty of Swamiji was he brought Master to everyone that he touched. And yet you could also feel Master's presence in him as well, because he strived to be one with Master every moment of his life. He strove to do that. And he showed we can do the same. And, it does not matter how long we've been on the path. All that matters is how much are we trying to connect to the divine inside. That's all that matters. There's the wonderful story of the 80-year-old woman that came to Master and said, I've possibly missed the boat because I came so late. And Master said she had realization in that lifetime. We have no idea what our previous lives were. And so, the whole thought, Swami has kind of an affirmation about self-esteem is I'm neither higher nor lower than anyone. And so we gather together to experience together the presence of the divine. And it helps to rub elbows with others who might be feeling the divine a little more strongly, which it actually does often happen over the years, but not by rule. You know, it's not necessary that is what it is. The only reason people are here usually is because they took level 1 and got a result after learning Hong Sa. And so if you have a result, that means something that you actually had an experience of some sort. And if you feel your love of the divine growing every day, if you feel your love of Master growing every day, if you feel the presence of Swamiji, these are all great signs that something is, getting inside. And I've always been really amazed and grateful how many people who come will feel a strong connection to Swamiji, because he's the one that brought Ananda to be what it is. And that's not just like, and let's not forget Swamiji, the founder. It's nothing like that. He has just as much a living presence as Master does. And so, Swamiji worked with everyone on multiple levels. There was this one person who wrote him a letter and then felt a response immediately, and then later saw him and he said, I didn't write back because I think you got the answer. And so he tried to work with people internally more than externally. If he a lot of times when you wrote him a letter, he didn't necessarily write back, but you got an answer. And, an answer that actually felt like him. And so, that has not ended. That has not stopped. You can still write letters to Swamiji. You can write letters to Master, whether it's actually on paper, in an email, or in your mind. You can write these letters and get responses. In fact, we're going to be doing a class on prayer starting this coming Wednesday, a 2-week class on how to pray. But the true title is How to Pray Effectively, but it's kind of mental to call it that. So we called it How to Pray and Be Heard. And so, there's lots of things Master and Swamiji spoke about in around prayer to help it, have prayer bring us closer to the divine. But to just remember that this is not a path of faith, meaning you don't come here and someone says, believe, and then you go, okay, I better believe, And so then it's like we all believe the same thing and we all believe. It's not that. It's everybody has their own individual connection and their own individual experience. And we try our best to attune to the Guru, and that puts us on the same page. If we're reading Autobiography of a Yogi and The New Path and a lot of the other books that we have, that helps also. All the videos help keep us attuned. Our Kriya Yoga meditation, of course, or just Hong Sa, depending on where we are in the classes. This all adds to this attunement as a group that we have that creates a spiritual family. And so Swamiji is responsible for that because he's the human that came to and began Ananda in 1968, or are we saying 68 or 69 these days? There's kind of both dates running around for some reason. And so, it's because of him saying, Master is driving me to do this. He's driving me. Master is bothering me and telling me and bugging me. Where was Master? He was not on the planet at the time in a physical body. So he was pushed to create this community type experience. He was pushed to create and gather people and create a magnetism that's called Ananda, and create a magnetism that draws people of similar vibration to this group, because there's lots of Kriya Yoga groups, there's even multiple Yogananda groups, multiple Sri Yukteswar groups, multiple Lahiri Mahashaya groups. Why do we choose this? Because the vibration feels right. And that's important. Before we take discipleship, we want to make sure we're in the right thing that feels vibrationally correct for us. Otherwise, we should really find the right place. I always love Master and the yogic philosophy of discipleship. There's no recruiting. There's no saying, this is your place because, we're trying to gather as many members as possible. And so, we'll just tell you that you're part of this group just so that you can join up. It's nothing like that. And in the level 3 group class, people are always saying, well, how do I know? How do I know? How do I know if this is my path? And it's something, the answer is you have to know inside yourself only. We cannot tell you. Now, that's not to say someone walks in the room and you go, hello. I remember you from the past. I don't know when, but your eyes look familiar. We have similar eyes. When there was a big event in Seattle, Washington in the U.S. with Swamiji, and before the event, a bunch of us from different colonies were walking around Seattle, having lunch and that kind of stuff. And I remember passing this couple going, okay, they're from Ananda. I could just tell. And in fact, I have a good friend who came a little later than me. And as soon as I met her, I thought, oh, welcome home. Welcome back. So that kind of thing happens, but that's not something you then say to the person, I know you belong here. You just don't say that kind of a thing. So anyway, it did turn out that couple that we had passed really was part of Ananda and from some other part of the country. How do you know these things? Because the Guru is with all of us. And Swamiji is with all of us. And he said, when I first was on the path and before, he would say, I strive to become one with Master, every moment. And then towards later on, and I don't know when this transition occurred, he said, I don't know where I begin and Master ends in terms of my consciousness. This is our goal. And this is possible for every single one of us who is sincerely meditating and working on a connection and sincerely trying to love the divine as deeply as we can individually. So Swamiji brought that to us. And it's only because of him that we can come here and settle in a, country that we did live here before. We lived in northern India, so we knew we liked it. But still, it doesn't really matter what country you're living in, because you're a yogi who is striving to be one with God someday, hopefully. And finding a bunch of other people who want the same thing. And sharing in such a beautiful vibration together. And so, anyway, we're very grateful for you all we're very grateful to Swamiji and to Master. And this is, all of these little holidays we have with our gurus, Swami's discipleship. We celebrated his birthday. We celebrate in all sorts of different ways. And it's very beautiful to acknowledge this time, and it's almost as though each holiday, and this is true, I think, also of, Deepavali coming up and Vijaya Dashami and all the holidays that are coming up. When these holidays happen, and, Krishna Jayanti we had, and Vinayaka Chaturji, and all these things are holidays where the veil to the divine is, I think, a little more thin, and an opportunity to connect more and feel the presence more, and not just outwardly celebrate, but to inwardly celebrate our connection to the divine through these holidays that happen, and then also through our guru holidays. It's just a time to offer that extra love and devotion. And if we've been feeling a little more separate or feeling a little more distant, it's a time to reconnect, because the path is about remembering continuously and being reminded continuously. And it's the way of the human being, for some reason, is that power of delusion to forget is so strong until we reach a threshold, which we all want to get to. That threshold is when we don't forget anymore. And the only way to not forget is to continuously remind. Remind. Oh, yeah. Remind. Oh, Master, hello. Remind. We go off to sleep at night. We wake up. Where am I? And then, oh, yes, Master is here. Swamiji is here. We have to continuously remind. And then sooner or later, we will get to that point where we do not need to remind anymore. We will be in. We will be in the presence always. We will feel that presence always. We will feel how deep that presence is. Feel ever grateful, Master created ever new joy. Ever new joy. Swamiji was the epitome of joy to us. And it wasn't just because he could tell a good joke. It radiated from him so deeply. And that joy, because that joy was an inner joy of complete connection to the divine. The connection to divine we're seeking is that true love and that true joy. Together, that love and that joy creates bliss. Bliss is like a combination of the two in the deepest way that can be experienced. And so we want to work on our joy, work on our love, and it will help lead us to that blissful feeling we're seeking. So anyway, let's celebrate this day in bliss. Let's celebrate this day in love. In celebration, we have some special treats afterwards, a little cake and the usual tea. And so we can have a few snacks. Stay for the announcements at the end, though, because we've got quite a bit coming up with Jyotishji and Deviji's visit happening. So anyway, we wish you great joy, great love, great devotion on this, especially on this happy day, but which was 2 days ago. but always, God bless you.